All right, so this is just my review on Magnacut and a little bit on this knife design. So I'm just trying to be brief. I'm gonna try to just cover what I think is important in a knife. So just to start it off is rust resistance. So just from testing, I found that Magnacut is not comparable to LC200N. Well, sorry, to Vanax or H1. Just from testing it in salt water, but when it comes just to everyday use, it's basically maintenance free. I haven't oiled this thing since I made it, and I haven't had any issues with it. So I've used it for work for a month now. I've carried it with me, so it's like five days a week, 8-hour days, and yeah, no rust spots, no pitting, no patina, nothing. It's been perfect, and I've purposely tried to like get it dirty, get it to rust, stuff like that, just from minor things. So I've cut plants, I've cut branches, I've cut stuff with it, and I've just left whatever gunk that gets on there. I just left it on the knife itself. I've gotten the knife wet and just put it right back into the sheath, and it's been perfectly fine. So this, from my experience, Magnacut, if you're just going to use just normally, it doesn't need any maintenance whatsoever. If you're going to do extremes like, like a really salty environment, like something in the ocean, stuff like that, I would still recommend Vanax or H1 over this. When it comes to edge retention and giving this an edge, Magnacut has been like beautiful. It's impressed me a lot, just in terms of how sharp it gets and how well it keeps that sharpness too. So previously, my favorite edge that I could do on a knife was from this Vanax knife, and now I can, so with the same amount of work, basically I can get a slightly better edge on Magnacut than I can on Vanax, which is kind of nuts to me. It's not a huge difference, but I can still get it slightly sharper using the same things. And I use ceramic stones. I use the Spyderco ceramic stones. In terms of edge retention, this is just, it's much better than Vanax. It's better than the other knives I've made. It's CPM 3V. So even though it's easy to put on an edge on this thing, it maintains it like very, very well. I've had it hair popping sharp, a previous video that I showed, and then I used it for a week, and it was still shaving slightly at the end of the week. So super happy with that. I think that's like the highlight of this steel. Oh, and this is 62 to 63 Rockwell hardness. So that's one thing too. This knife has been professionally heat treated. I don't know if you would expect the same thing from a mass-produced knife, which sometimes doesn't get the same amount of attention as a knife that gets sent out to get professionally heat treated. So, but for this knife specifically, beautiful edge. And then in terms of toughness, I don't use my knives like a pry bar or nothing like that, so I haven't taken it to extremes. But this knife is very thin behind the edge. It's a full convex from top to bottom, and it has it's even though it's like super thin. I'll put some, like, a couple videos towards the end just to try to like express that, try to show that how thin it is. I haven't had any warpage or nothing like that. No problems with the edge. Every couple weeks, sometimes I would get flat spots and like minor dings, stuff like that on Vanax. I haven't had any of that with Magnacut, and I have used it more than I would normally use my Vanax knife during this month on purpose, just to try to figure out where it stands in my mind in terms of keeping an edge. And so I haven't had any problems with impacts and stuff like that, messing up the edge. And that can be a bad thing too, I guess, because when I've had little dings and stuff like that, I found that Vanax, this is 60 Rockwell hardness, I think I said that already, but I've found that Vanax actually deforms instead of chipping, which is preferable in my mind. It's perfect. And I don't know if Magnacut does that. So I've yet to come across that. I don't know what would happen. Hopefully it deforms too, but who knows. So yeah, it's great toughness in my opinion because of just what the things I've chopped. And I'll show you too, and I'll put another video too of just me chopping some branches. The ones I chop are not crazy. They're just, I had to cut down a branch where I live. And I decided just to try the knife on there. So I'll show you that too in the end. But yeah, overall, I would highly recommend Magnacut. I'm actually, I have a design that I'm going to do, and I'm going to use specifically Magnacut because so far it's actually, and I feel like, because Magnacut just seems like such a hype train. Well, maybe not so much now, but I feel weird saying it, but yeah, it's my favorite right now. It's my favorite steel because if you want something that's like maintenance free in terms of rust resistance, so it's still maintenance free, but it also has like great edge retention and it's like tough and all that stuff. So it's maintenance free and less maintenance in terms of keeping it sharp. This is like a great steel. So I'm surprised. At first I bought it not because I was like, oh, you know, everybody says it's a great steel, let's do that. I've been doing corrosion tests, galvanic corrosion tests, and I wanted something that was supposedly as rust proof as or rust resistant as LC200 and Vanax or whatever. I wanted to try that in my tests. I wanted to put that in my test to get a list of what's the most corrosion resistant material. So I bought it for that reason. I wasn't expecting all this other stuff, which is a good thing. It's a plus. All right, now next up, just a little bit about the design. Okay, so design wise, I wanted this thing to kind of replace this knife, which is what I used before. I wanted something a little bit shorter, just because it's just easier to handle. Also, it's something shorter gives you a little bit more point control. But I also wanted to cut the same way. This has a secondary point. The way I got this to cut, similar to the Tanto, is just because how this is curved forward. When you're hitting stuff that's parallel to your body, you're going to use basically the point. The point's what it's going to impact first. So not the belly, but the point. So, and yeah, I found out that it does cut really well like that. If you're hitting something like that, that's straight up in front of you. Because of the full convex grind, it cuts really nicely. Same thing, those videos I told you about will show you kind of like how thin it is and how well it cuts. And it has a nice like forward heaviness to it. Its tip is I did a spear point to try to get, you know, that weight in the front too, and it should pierce nice. It has pierced nice, and just books and stuff like that, papers. But so yeah, I like it overall. The only two things I would actually that I can think of that I would want to change in the future, like for another design, is one thing I would want to slightly round this, because when you do poke something, when you do it in a certain way, this edge does jam into your finger. And then the second thing is I would want to make this part here, and I talk about this, and when I talk about the design, I would want it a little bit more thicker here in the front. So what I talked about before is that these two fingers are supposed to be a little bit more straight than the other two. So just to be able to give you more of a flick to make a snap cut a little bit easier, which was great in this. A snap cut is great in this knife because you're basically just hitting with the tip when you do a snap cut. So I'm happy with it overall. It's actually my favorite right now. The biggest like plus I can give this knife is that this is what I used to wear. I wore it for almost a year, and yeah, I'm gonna stay with this. I'm gonna keep wearing this. So yeah, okay, yeah, and then now just the couple of videos, the few videos, and yeah, if you have any questions or comments, or just let me know. All right, bye. All right, so this is the best test I can think of to translate how thin behind the edge my knife is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this piece of vinyl tubing, which the inner diameter of this thing is 1 inch. I'm going to cut it first with this Spyderco Police, and then I'll cut it with mine. I chose the Spyderco Police because Spyderco has a flat grind on a lot of their knives. And if you have a Spyderco with a flat grind, you'll get an idea of the difference between the two. All right, so first I'm going to cut this piece of paper just to show you that they're both at least similarly sharp, and then I'll do the test. All right, so first the paper. And then okay. All right, so first up is the Spyderco. And I'm gonna saw back and forth a little bit, but when I do it on my fixed blade, I'm only gonna try to keep it in the same distance as basically this one, so we'll see. First one. I'm gonna try to do the same thickness too, so about 1/4 inch. Same width. All right, fine. So if I hold it, all right. Okay, let's do one more. Okay. All right, now my knife. So, in my opinion, just because my knife doesn't have a secondary bevel, it's basically just convex to the end. It is slightly thinner than this this Police 4 behind the edge. So, yeah, hopefully that this test kind of like translated that. Well, yeah. All right, so one more test just to show you how thin behind the edge the knife is. It's kind of more relatable, I guess, to people. Not that many people have plastic tubing. So the spine on this thing is 0.187 inches. As you can see, it's not exploding. So yeah, okay.